Hey friends, it's Jenny, and I've got a pile of pretty beads on my mat. What do you say we try to turn this pile of pretty beads into a fun 3-strand necklace using the Moonlit Serenade from Sam's Bead Shop. Now I know there's a lot of videos already out doing some of the unboxings for the newest Sam's Bead Box, which is Rachel's favorites. The reveal day was March 17th. Becky likes to wait to do the unboxing on our channel until after the official unboxing has taken place over on Sam's Bead Shop, and that's already been scheduled. But she likes to do that because that's when the extras become available. And so when she shows you, for example, her bead mixes that she gets along with her box, it's a separate add-on. Well, she wants you to be able to go and get it when you see it and not have to remember to go back later. So watch for that a little bit later this week. But in the meantime, I am not done playing with this. Now, when Becky and I were with Rachel and Jody about a week and a half ago over on the Bead Shop channel, we did a beading party. I had mentioned that I had originally thought about making a 3-strand necklace, and I did instead during that live make one of my bracelet trios. So I'm wearing it as a single bracelet on this side with my my dream, and then we have night falling and then the magic one right here, and I actually have them connected together. So I'm actually wearing this as a 2-wrap bracelet at the moment. But those are some things I already made. But I still wanted to make more with this. So we're going to make a 3-strand necklace. And I may go ahead and do some earrings. I haven't made any earrings yet to go with any of this, but I want to get the necklace done, and then we'll see about doing a bracelet. But I've gone ahead and done a little bit of my pre-work. I made some dangles. I'm going to make one more here on camera with you, but I've just been doing little rolled loops at the top. It's a technique I also did on the bracelets. When you do like a double rolled loop, it also creates a little bit of visual interest and space in between, instead of using a spacer there. So that is one of the things that I did. So I made some leaf dangles for the dream strand, and then I made these dangles. I didn't use these in the bracelets for night falling, which is where I've got my moons, my shell moons. And then we'll have our magic strand here. And I don't think I'm going to be using a dangle here. I currently plan on just stringing this flower of life pendant or coin, which is the same as the one that's in this bracelet, just side to side along this bottom section of this necklace. So yeah, we've got some things to do. So let's just finish making this component. This is one of my drops, and I have this cut down to about 1.5 centimeters beyond the bead, so that when I roll this, I get just about, it's not quite, but just about two rounds. But when I stop about this far away from the end, I bend the wire back. You can see I've got it here. And then I finish my roll. And that's how I make sure that I have a centered loop. Now, when I string on my dangles, I'm going to want to make sure that since this does about 1.5 loops instead of a full 2, I probably shouldn't have cut them as much, but I did. When I string them on, I just want to make sure that all of my double lines are facing the same direction so that my necklace has that effect of that extra space that goes in there. Now, just like the Bracelet Trio, I'm going to be using 3 different soft flex beading wires. We're going to use the tanzanite for the dream, the lapis for night falling, and then the amethyst for magic, the magic that comes after. For tools, I am using my round nose pliers, which I've just used in that example, chain nose pliers, and if I need to open and close some jump rings, which I do plan on doing later, I've got some bent chain nose here. I've also got my flesh cutters and my magical crimpers, because we're going to be stringing these 3 strands and then crimping them and then attaching them with jump rings to these components. And then these components are going to attach to this chain that I brought in from my stash, and it's made with little hearts because this whole thing is about love and romance. And I also felt like the shape of these hearts really paired well with the shape of this component. See what I mean? It's got the same kind of rounded feel to it. So let's start with the smallest one. So each of these I'm going to try to make at least an inch or at least 2 inches longer than the next one. So there's an extra inch on either side for each strand so that they have enough room to do their own thing. So this is going to be the shortest one, and I may not even use all of the beads that I set out, but these are the beads that I'm going to be using. I've got these gorgeous Czech glass roses, the leaf dangles, and I've paired clear ones with frosted blue and translucent blue. And then along the strand, we're going to be using these 5mm and 4mm fire polish. The 5mm, that really pretty yellow, and then the 4mm is that gorgeous blue. I think they have it as a sapphire AB, but it's a really light sapphire. And I am going to be stringing each of these from the center so I can get an idea how long it's going to be before I do the other side, because some of this is going to be adjusted as we design. So let's get started. This one is going to be a little bit different because each of these sections has a center focal. This top one is not. I'm just going to have most of it just be dangly leaves, and then these are going to be kind of like secondary focals at the collarbone for this shortest length right here. So I'm just starting with one of those, the yellows. So a 5mm, a 4mm, a crystal colored leaf. And again, while I'm stringing it, I'm making sure that I've got my 2 lines facing me so that when I do the next one, it does the same thing. Get this on here and another little bit. I'm not sure how much space I'm going to need, but I'm going to make sure that I've got what I'm looking for. I think because this is from the middle, and then we've got those. So it's going to be kind of like a grouping of 4 leaves in the center. Now these roses, they are the same front and back, but they are drilled top to bottom. Because of the way I'm putting them on here, I'm having the top of the rose face the center of the strand. So we've got this going on. And then we've got more leaves. Like I said, I want this to be fairly short, so I'm not going crazy with doing all the beads, but we're gonna do a pattern that is roughly like this. That again, it uses both those sapphire and yellow. And this one is gonna need to be about 6 inches across, I think, for where I want it to fit. Again, it's gonna be the shortest length. So if we do 6 and then 8 and then 10, then I think it will fit nicely with the chain along the back. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. But I really need to make sure that this second section with nightfall and the moons has enough clearance for these moons. So I'm just kind of checking to see if I'm close to that 3 inches with what I have on here, and I am actually really close. So I'm gonna go ahead and put okay, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna take my measuring tape and take that 6 inches and make sure that that is like what I want around the collar, like of my, yes, 6 inches. I'm looking for about 6 inches strung length for this. So I'm just ending with one of these little sapphire guys. And let's go ahead and crimp one end. The other ones I'll probably use bead stoppers until I get it exactly the right length, but this one is going to drive the rest of the design. So I'm just going to take one of my, so I'm going to be using, let me clarify this. I am going to be using the Magical Crimper. It works with 0.018 to 0.019 beading wire. The medium soft flex is 0.019, so it's perfect. It only works with 2x2 crimp tubes. And what you want to do is go ahead and put the crimp tube through your wire, feed the other side through, get your loop down to the size that you want it. And I want these to be small, discrete loops. We are going to see the color of the beading wire, but really only where it's attaching by a jump ring to the this component. So you'll see it at this angle rather than this angle. I could attach it directly, but I think that it's going to have more movement if I use a jump ring for it. So you'll see the circle of the loop. All right. And you're going to take your, let me zoom in. I'm going to be doing at least 6 crimps tonight. So I'm demonstrating really closely the first one, and but I'm not going to talk you through as detailed on all the other ones. So if you've never used a magical crimper, it has this little spherical concavity on either side of the jaw of this crimping plier. And what you want to do is you want to center your 2x2 crimp tube in that concavity. Now you want to make sure that it's centered this way, but also this way, that it is truly in the center and that you don't have the edge of that crimp tube right up against the edge of the plier, because if it is, then it's not centered. So if it's centered and you give it a squish, then it will pinch down those 4 corners like a little ravioli. If you only see 2 corners pinched down, then it was not centered and you should adjust and try it again. You can save crimps. It is really important that you use crimp tubes that have a nice thick wall. Go ahead and turn it 90 degrees from where you were so it's straight up and down. And again, be sure that it's centered and give it another squish. And then you're just going to open your jaws of your plier and keep rotating and squishing. And you'll see that dark center of the tube will disappear as the edges of the tube bite down into that nylon coating. Now you see the size of this loop that I'm doing? This is meant to be just a small discrete loop that I plan on using jump rings with. And so I'm going to make all of them about that size. But it's really important that you use a crimp tube that has a nice thick wall and that has no seam. Otherwise it will just crumble and not give you this nice smooth little ball of crimp. If you're having trouble with your crimping pliers and you're using a good quality brand, like we prefer Soft Flex, Beadalon is also good. Other ones are less consistent in size and shape and finish, whether it's a thin wall or just like the crimp tubes themselves aren't very consistent. You know, if you're using good quality crimp tubes and you're still having trouble, try putting a little bit of extra wire inside your crimp tube and then snipping off what hangs out on either end, because sometimes that's what you need, is to have a little bit more meat in your ravioli. It's also possible, depending on where you got your crimping plier. And now I'm just taking this. So this is half of the front of my necklace. And I am making sure I have enough wire to repeat what I did before, as well as room to crimp. I like to have at least an inch to do that. Move this wire off to the side and continue on from here. So here I should be right where I need to put on, because I almost made that crystal one a center, but it's not. It is. Now this time, because I've turned my work over, I'm making sure I'm putting the not 2 sides on this one, because I'm right-handed. It's just easier to do it this way, so that my double sides are all on the same side. Just a little tip if you also turned your work like I just did. Oh, but what I was saying, magical crimper, if you have done all of that and you're still having some trouble with your magical crimper, it is possible. I have personally had one that was not correctly made, and it had it was flawed, and we had to replace, like, this place where it makes the crimp didn't line up. So I know that if you buy it from Jill Weissman's shop or from Softflex, that they actually test it to make sure you can get a good crimp. But you may buy it from other sources and they might not do that testing. Oh, I forgot to go back out. So sorry. Here I was showing you what I was doing, but I wasn't showing you what I was doing. So see how this is coming together for that top section of our necklace? I think that's going to be really pretty. And again, this is the back side of it because I need to get out a few more of those. I've got my box right here. I need to get out a few more of the sapphire, the 4mm sapphire ones. They're so cute, but I only have a few on my mat. I didn't count them out. I had a loose plan, but I've got my box right here, so I could easily get out what I still need, which is another 2. So I've got that one. We're going to put on our last leaf dangle. Here. And then another 5mm. And this blue one. And then I'm just going to compare these two sides. Get them up against the dish so I can show you where we're at with this. So I'm just comparing these two sides to make sure I didn't miss anything significant in my pattern. I think I did pretty good. And this is, sorry, let me flip it the other way so you can see the effect of those. Now these dangles, when they're on my dish, are trying to go everywhere, but when you're wearing it, they're naturally going to hang down. And when they do, you can see that little double rolled loop creates this nice small gold moment throughout the pattern. And that's exactly what we wanted it to do. And yeah, I don't see that I've missed any beads, so I'm going to go ahead and crimp this other end. I'm not going to zoom in this time, but one thing that I do differently, because this is the second crimp on this piece, is I do need to have the crimp tube right up against these beads. So I get it on here, and I'm going to pull this tail to tighten it, get it down to the size we want. But I'm going to do it with my thumb resting between the crimp tube and that bead, so that I can make sure that I leave enough room to be able to work my plier without breaking a bead. So this is me just kind of fiddling it with it. I'm pulling it down close to that bead, getting this down. Sometimes it helps to hold the crimp tube. Don't compress it yet, but just hold it in your pliers. You want to make sure you have a little bit, because I don't want this to be stiff, a little bit of movement here, like this curve. Tug here and then here until we get about the size that we want to match the loop we did on the other side, and then give it a squish. Now, the other thing that I do differently is, instead of pulling it out and showing you the ravioli, because I've already showed it to you once, I just turned and rotated it that first 90 degrees. So I'm making the next compression, and I'm just continuing this way. This is because when I was learning how to do this, and I've only been using the magical crimper for about a year, Becky got one for me before that, but I had a hard time using it because it was not manufactured well. And so I wasn't really making stuff. But then she came and she realized that my magical crimper was not a good one. She got me a new one. And I've really only been making jewelry for about a year. So when I was learning, I found that it was easier to make sure that I not only started centered, but stayed centered if I love that. That's so cute. Yes. Yeah, that is really cute. Okay, so that is our top strand. Set it here, and then we'll work on the next one. I've already jostled a whole bunch of things around. This is typical. This is typical. Don't worry. I'm creating a little bit more space right here because my next one, like I said, this one, if we measure it from one end to the other, oh, it was supposed to be 6 inches, but it ended up closer to 5. How did that happen? I thought I had 3 inches. That's okay. We'll go with it. So instead of 6, 8, and 10, it's going to be about 5, 7, and 9. That sounds like a store. In fact, it is a store from back when I was in high school. I don't know if it still is a store. But I'm going to aim for that. But now that I have this one completed and put together, I'm going to have the other ones at least temporarily put together to make sure that they're going to drape the way that I want them to. Because this one is going to be the straighter one. The next one is going to swoop more, and the third one is going to swoop even more. And so I need to have room to do that. And hopefully I can use all 6 of my moons because I want to, but I don't know if it will work. So we're going to see. We are going to see. Sorry, move those back down. Okay, moving this back up. And then here, this one, I am starting with one of these moon coins, moon and star coins in the middle. Again, switching the wire. Now we're doing the dark blue lapis for nightfall. And starting with this guy, and I've thought a little bit about, okay, how do I want to do this? So I'm gonna start this with the crescent going this way. I had, of my 6 crescent shells, they're actually all cut to go one direction. But these ones, if you look on the reverse, they have more darker pieces. And so they're a little bit less ethereal. And so I'm keeping them all the correct way. But I was lucky and I had these 3 that are pretty on both sides. So I just flipped these 3 to be my, I'm gonna put the lightest ones inside. Yes, like this. I think that looks good. So these ones are slightly curved the wrong way, but I don't mind because when you look at it all together, your eye's not going to be seeing that. But that way we have it going both directions, kind of bracketing around this guy. So I'm going to have him do this, and I have more of these guys. I was trying to decide how I want, like, did I want to be precise about my little star rice beads, or did I want to just kind of have them on here randomly? And I think I'm going to put the darkest ones in the middle and work out to where we're having like crystal on the edges. So there's a darker blue, a dark blue sapphire, a medium sapphire, and crystal. I've also got these gorgeous dark denim blue sodalite that we're going to be using. And oh, the stars go in the magic. My star beads, because they've got that iris coating. So I'm going to use this darkest star rice bead, put that on either side of one of my sapphire drops. That's the wrong way. It's my one drop that had a little bit more, but I want it to look consistent. There we go. And then another dark one. And then we'll have a sodalite, another dark, and then we're going to have this first moon. And this is where I do need to think about what is the front of my necklace versus not as I'm putting it on. And then again, like I said, if I flip my work later, I need to remember that. For the moons as well as the drops, because I want that double line in the front. Okay. And I just put, these are 5mm jump rings that I put on here. So it's a close fit, but I think it's gonna work. I was kind of testing it earlier. Unfortunately, it's either these 5mm ones or I have to go way, way, way bigger. And then I'm gonna do like a dark here. So we've got these two sections where this drop is and where this drop is dark. And then I am going to put on this drop. Wait, hold on. No, this. Hold on, I have to think about this. Because I hadn't planned this part precisely. I knew what beads I wanted to play with, and I still do. I don't know if I have enough to do what I'm currently doing, but we're gonna see. Because then I'm gonna go to the medium blue right here on either side of this sapphire drop. But see, I don't have room to go, I don't wanna go, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I know how I'm doing it, okay. So then I have this moon, and again, he falls that way, medium blue, sapphire drop, medium blue, another dark sodalite, and then we'll do a crystal, the moon. You can tell this one already has a lot more going on. So from the middle of this bead to here, is really close to 4 inches. And if this was 5 and I'm wanting to go for 7, the question is this, if it's hanging and connected here, is that going to be enough room? Oh, that moon needs a little space. I'm going to give, oh, we still have another drop to do. We still have another drop, so we're not done with that yet. I'm going to give it a little bit more space by adding this smaller drop and another of the crystal rice beads. And this time, instead of crimping when I think I finished one side of it, I am going to be using a bead stopper. Because I know now that this is about the length that I want. I think that's going to give me the clearance that I want for this necklace to this necklace, center of this one to here. We'll have our moons. So I think this is what I want. I'm gonna put a bead stopper on one end, making sure that I leave enough of a tail here for crimping so that I can move these beads down and do the same thing as I did on the other side, which is to figure out and make sure that I have enough wire to complete the design I did and have room to crimp. And that's gonna be approximately our length for our second layer of this necklace. Okay, so now that I need to move some of these things off to the side. Oh, I was gonna do one more. I can do another dark sodalite. Oh, okay, I can add just a little bit more, and I'm gonna like it better. I'm gonna like it better. So I can put another dark sodalite here. Oh shoot, I wish I hadn't cut that. That's okay, that's okay, we're good. I had forgotten that that was part of what I wanted to do. And we will make this work. It might be tight when I'm crimping, but this is going to give us, that moon is going to be farther now. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Do I have enough to finish this? I do if I move this. It's going to be tight crimping, friends, because I forgot all about that other sodalite that I had set aside for it. I did. That's okay. We got this. Now I'm just going to repeat on the other side. And this time I didn't pick up and flip my work just because it's easier with the way these moons and everything are laid out for me to string. I'm still using my right hand, but on the left side of the mat. I'm moving this so we can get more centered here. Yeah. So this is our nightfall. And we're I know that this is the front of my design, and I'm just following the same thing as I did before and doing that gradient with the rice, star rice beads, using the darker ones in the center, doing this cool sodalite thing. Some of them have holes that need a little help, and I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. Just I have a lot of them. That's one of the things I love about the Sam's Bead Box. I was not subscribed to it. Becky does the Sam's Bead Box content for our channel, and she saw what this one was, and she's like, Jenny, you're gonna love this. And she did send me a sneak peek, and she apparently, when she was unboxing, she was like, oh, Jenny's gonna love this. I'm gonna have to buy this for my sister. It's so her kind of thing. She's gonna absolutely love it. Just making sure. Oh, I have an extra star rice bead there. It was sodalite, star, moon, star, and then another sodalite on the other side of that moon, another star. Wait a minute, this is where I'm switching to the lighter blue. And then doing a sapphire drop. It's kind of cool. I think that's gonna be fun. So this is where I am on the other side of it. Okay, so another sapphire drop, or medium blue, and then my next moon, and then another medium. This is one of those designs that has been living in my head for a while, because I really wanted to do this, and I've had other things that have come up that I've either needed to do, or I went and visited Becky's for a little bit, which was wonderful. But I definitely, okay. So then I put on this sodalite, and then I switched to the crystal star rice bead. Guys, it's going to be tight, but it'll work. It'll work. I want to finish this pattern. I want to complete the pattern. So it does mean that I'm going to have to do some extra filler beads for the magic strand. And I have some ideas for that, but we'll get to that, because this one definitely needs to be the longer of all 3 strands. So get my moon on here. That last sodalite. I've got 3 sodalite left, but I didn't have room to do a whole lot more, which is why I wanted to make sure I balanced these nicely. Where like each moon is bracketed by either the sodalite or the sapphire drops or the sodalite. So like we're alternating which one is doing the bracketing. And it ends up spreading them nicely throughout that strand. All right, our last sapphire drop. And our last rice bead. There we go. Okay. And again, I'm using a bead stopper because I don't want to finalize this. I might need to shorten this design to make it work with everything else. So I am going ahead and using a bead stopper on either end of this. I'm not crimping it yet until we get our 3rd strand done and we can see it all together. But right now, these 2 would sit roughly like this. So there would be this much space between 1 and 2. Yeah. So that is the current setup. All right, and then we're switching our stringing wire color again. Time for some amethyst. Doing our, just like I did with the Bracelet Trio, I'm using the 3 different colors to definitely set the mood and pull out the things that are special about each section. And I really haven't planned this out, but I was looking in my stash and I have these Iris 11O seed beads that I got from Danielle Wicks that I think are perfect for this. And I think I'm going to use this to extend and have a little bit more space in this. This is going to be our longest strand. And so I also want it to look a little bit more delicate. I don't want it to be heavy, heavy full of beads. And not that these are really heavy, heavy beads, but by adding the seed beads, I didn't get the seed bead mix that Becky gets. Adding these seed beads is going to give us the opportunity to get a little bit of space between things and spread out the stars and the all the things going on here. So I am gonna go ahead and spill some of those out, and they're transparent with the iris coating on them. So when they're strung on the purple, more of the purple is going to come through, which is going to pull out, again, more of the iris coating that we have on these fire polish and the stars. And we're bringing in a little bit of that dream color here because the dream has to become part of the magic, you know? So dream, nightfall, and the magic that follows. So let's start with our Flower of Life bead. My current plan, again, I wanted to make this delicate and not too long. So instead of making a drop out of this, I am, and it doesn't matter if it flips to the gold side or the magic side, the AB side. I think they're both really pretty and they both are going to work with this design. So I think we're going to have that as the center of this longer strand. But I'm going to go ahead and just start using these seed beads. I'm going to start off by just doing one at a time. As I move out from the center. If I need to make this longer, I'll go back and restring off camera because, you know, I'm showing you my general design. And then if I have to make a major overhaul like that, I'll redo what I need to and then come back. But this should add a little bit of extra space for us. I do have all of my stars on the mat. So this is all of my stars. This is all of my fire polish, and I have an odd number. So I have one extra over here on the side. So what I have here needs to fit. Just to put, oh, you know what? I should see how many stars I have and divide them by the sides so that I make it match on, because everything else is symmetrical. I would like this part to be symmetrical as well. So, 2, 4, 6, 8. This one already has one, so over here, and this is one extra star that is kind of mismatched. Okay, so knowing that I have a total of 9 stars for this, and I'm planning on doing, let's see if I should plan this out a little bit better. If I put a star between each component, do I run out of stars? Wait a minute. There, 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 there. And then I can do just stars on the end. Just looking at this, I'm going to change my seed bead pattern. I am going to change my seed bead pattern because I don't have enough here to string to get all the way up here, but I need that clearance around these moons. There's going to be a little bit of overlap down here, but oh, you know what I can do? I can do this pattern and then just use string beads right up in there. That way the string bead strand will be behind these moons where it kind of does that. I might just have extra seed beads on that last little bit to get it the length that I need. Let's try this. Let's try this. Kind of see where we are for it. And again, this is just getting a So I've got a star, and I'm putting a seed bead between each of these. These are just little 11-ohs. And I thought about putting the stars on kind of randomly, but I think that's going to bother me. So I'm going to have all the stars like go out from the center, so point up. And then we have this cool drop. And I am making sure that I string this with the AB side forward so that that's consistent across all of them. And then we'll get another star. Because I do kind of want to cluster like the magical things that are happening closer together. But I have some ideas on how to kind of taper away from that as we come away from this other drop over here. Let's get to that point and I'll start talking you through it. So I know I'm going to want to add some seed beads. And like I said, I could just pile them all on one side of things, but I can also kind of stretch out these last few moments going up this side so that they are drawn out. But these larger beads, I definitely wanted to be yeah, okay. So now that we're on this side of this, I'm going to go ahead and do one seed bead and a star, just like we were doing before. But then I'm going to use a trick that I've used a couple of other times, where I'm going to do 3 seed beads before I do my next bead, which is this fire polish. And then I'm going to do 5 seed beads. Before my next star. And then I've got 2 more stars for this side, because remember I divided them earlier. So this one had 5 seed beads. Now we're going to go for 7. And what this is going to do is it's going to taper the beads off, almost like beads coming loose from a strand. That trickle of magic, I guess. So that's 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to do another star. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. See, I want the room for these moons. I want the room for these moons. And so I put smaller beads up here where this is going to be. And I think I might not actually use this last star. So this was 7 seed beads. What if we did 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops. Yeah. That's 8 and 9. Okay. Grab another bead stopper. I can adjust this if I feel like I've made this strand too long, but this is what I had in mind. So that, let me get these 3 strands together. Scoot the beads down. So this is going to be the center, 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 center. And there's the ends. And this moon is going to be kind of playing peekaboo with this strand a little bit, but I think that that's going to be fine. I think that this is about the length that I want. I think that's going to give me the space in general that I need for the moons, without making it look like it's ridiculously low and doesn't belong with the rest of the design. But see how we achieved that effect where we still have all this fun cluster of magic right here where all the major magic is happening, but then it just kind of tapers off as we go farther up the strand. That's what we're going to do on the other side. So here we go again. Get the other side prepared. And make sure I'm definitely cutting myself enough that if I change my mind on my plan, I have room to do it. I have lots of amethyst wire. Okay. All right. And this time I am going to flip my work just because I'm not dealing with any dangles. There's very few things that I need to make sure are facing the right direction. And it is just much, much easier for me to string on the right. So now I'm just repeating exactly what I did on the other side. And I am going to go ahead and do that on camera with you all. Kind of want to see this project all the way through, start to finish. And then we will think about whether or not we're going to do, whether or not we're going to do, oops, forgot the seed bead. Some earrings. And I think I should do some earrings because I have really, really loved this. And I made the Bracelet Trio, which can be worn in various combinations of other jewelry, different lengths of necklaces, different ways to wear them as bracelets like I'm doing tonight. And I've got this, which is going to be a more dramatic necklace. I fully recognize that this is a dramatic style. I am making sure I'm putting this AB side down since I flipped my work. And then continuing on, adding my stars. And I think we're about to do, yes, the fire polish. Just like we did on the other side of this. And then we're going to be adding our moon bead. After a star. Because we've got stars everywhere, all the stars, all the magical stars. And then the moon, and this moon I had facing away from the center, so this one I'm also going to have face away from the center. So they just mirror each other on either side of that flower of life. But it would be nice to go ahead and, I had planned on actually doing this in February and doing a full set, which would include a ring as well. I don't know that I'm up to that right now at the moment. Now it's time for this. Again, AB side down, because I'm working on the back. Okay, and then this is where we're going to start, because I got that other star on there. This is where we're going to start adding more seed beads. Yes, we're right here. So instead of just the one that I've put on, I'm going to add 2 more, so I've got a total of 3. Just a little reminder. Also, you know, talking myself through it, and then we're doing that magical fire polish again, and then 5 seed beads. This should be 5. 5. Okay. Moving my work a little bit over so I'm more on screen for this little bit. And then we're going to do another star. You know what? I won't have used all of my stars, which means I can use some in earrings. That's the other thing. I needed to prioritize what was going into all of this to get the length that I needed. And so I hadn't really thought about what to save for earrings. I don't have strong feelings about earrings, but I still have lots of fun beads, so we can do something. 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. 7. Get another one of these guys. And that should be, is that our last star? That is our last star. We're just doing 9 seed beads and then grabbing another bead stopper. That's 6. Just need 3 more. Okay, now the true test. I've been laying this out on my mat with how I think it's going to work together. But now I need to pick up all 3 of these strands and look at it hanging and see if yes. Oh, guys, okay. I need to try to stack that a little bit better so I get a better idea how those are going to play together, but yes, this is going to be pretty cool. There's definitely some interplay between these moons and these strands, which makes me glad that I'm using the smaller beads in this section. But I think this is it, guys. I think this is the design. I don't know that I need to add any more. I think if I added another long length of seed beads and a star on this side, that it would be too long. Like we would have it would be hanging down like this instead, and I think that's too much. Because of the placement of these, we're still going to have the interplay. I don't think we save anything there, but I think this keeps it nice and tight and is a really pretty multi-strand necklace. Okay, I think I'm ready to crimp these guys. So let's do the second strand first. Like I said, that one is going to be tricky. This side currently has the most room to crimp, so I'm going to start there because that's going to buy me some room on the other side. So I just might have to use my tools. I like to use my fingers to grab the tails and adjust the size of the loops, but I might need to use my tools to do that if I don't have much wire, and I don't have much wire. So I'm just going to go ahead and crimp this, and this is not going to take as long because I'm not talking you through the whole process. I think something got a little bit out of sync, so I'm readjusting it, making sure it's back in the center so that whatever went wonky can get smoothed out. You can fix it as long as you correct it as you go. You can't always fix every one of them, but you can fix more than you think. I will say that. You can fix more than you think. Okay. I can scoot these beads down and that means I have a little bit more room. That's tiny little bit there. Watch. This one right here, like the other ones, you know, Jennifer Miller is really, really good about being careful about using how much craft wire she uses. She has very, very little scrap. And I feel like I need a little bit of play for that, but she'd be so proud of how little scrap I'm going to have on this strand. Not intentionally, but you know. And again, I'm making sure that this is coiled before I finish this last one, but I am getting it down into position. I'm going to hold this with my plier, not squishing yet, pulling everything into position, making sure I'm flush against that bead, and then tugging this tail until I get a loop that is similar to the other ones I've done. Oh, come on, a little bit more. I think when I crimp, that's going to tighten. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. And again, because I've been tugging, just making sure it's seated in that centered position. I'm going to have links in this video to the unboxing that Becky did, as well as the live that we had with Rachel and Jody. We had Rachel and Jody, and we had such a fun time with that. So you can see the other things that both Becky and I and Jody and Rachel made, and be inspired by those. All right. Yep, this is the front. Okay. Just making sure I've got things faced the right direction. Look at that. That's all the scrap there was, Jennifer. Are you proud? Just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to have more scrap on this one because I did think that I might need to add more length, so I made sure that I cut extra. But I don't have that many opportunities to use amethyst, but I have like 4 spools of it right now. And so I'm not as worried about having some amethyst scrap. These other ones, these are some of my favorite colors to use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just double checking now that I have the other bead stoppers out of the way. Just double checking before I crimp this. Make sure I don't want to add a little bit more because I'm about to crimp. And now that I have the other bead stoppers out of the way and I can get these closer, I think I actually do want to add a little bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add another star. And instead of extending this length even further and doing 11, well, let's just look. Let's see, if I did 11, what would that look like? Because now that I have the other bead stopper out of the way, I could get it a lot closer to, okay, this is where these are all likely to hang together. And I did feel like I could have a little bit more room here. So we're going to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay. Putting this bead stopper back on. And then doing the same thing on this other side. Because I have the room for it. I did that on purpose. So that if I wanted to add length, I could. All right, getting that other star, which means I probably won't have stars for doing earrings, and that's okay. I can do other things. I still have leaves. Oh, leaf earrings. Leaves. I haven't done anything with the pumpkins. Leaves and pumpkins. I think I picked up an extra one I hadn't counted. So that is 9. So 2 more. 10 and 11. Okay. So checking this before I start crimping things. That is better, isn't it? That is better. It's going to be there and there. Yeah. I don't know how long this necklace is going to end up being. This is definitely something you would probably wear over a blouse or or something, because this is definitely going to be like, this is collar. I'm going to do this so that this is kind of collar length here, and then this is kind of mid neck, and then this other is going to drape a lot lower. But I think to create the look that I want, this is what I need. Okay, crimping. Again, I'm gonna scoot these so that I can get more room while I'm doing this crimp. And just matching that same size that we're doing on the other guys. And then our other one. And again, making sure that I've got this necklace coiled. Before I do this last crimp, I'm making sure that I didn't forget anything significant and that these line up, and they do. Yeah. Like I said, I've had this on my mind for a while. I knew what colors I wanted to use. I had a pretty good idea what beads. I wasn't quite sure how it would all come together. I knew that we would be using a lot of space to create this because I was choosing to use the moons in the center, which means that the whole design has to accommodate that and not look like it's getting crowded from above or below. And so that was definitely part of my plans when I was doing this. Okay. And then this next bit, this is a longer video. I might skip the earrings because we still need to finish putting all of this together and do the fit. And I don't have a clear idea what I want to do for the earrings. I have some beads I'd like to play with. Maybe I'll just do it anyway. May as well. Peeking at the time. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. This is a normal time for me to be making. A lot of times I'm still recording a project like this at like 4. So I feel like I'm doing pretty good. It's only almost 2. There we go. I had to get in the right position to get close enough to trim that flush. Now here is the moment of truth. Let me get my jump rings out. I just had a pile of them. Where did they all go? There's my chain. This. There they are. They were under the first strand. Okay. I've got a pile of jump rings. I think I am actually going to need some more because we still have a clasp and the chain to attach. But these are the 6 that we're going to need to attach these 3 strands to this component. Now, I really wished that I could have attached them to different parts of this because it has that little, but they're naturally going to fall down into this lower one and all hang out in the same space. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I would have liked to figure out how to do that, but I think I would have to have better wire wrapping game than I currently have in order to get that done. So the first jump ring, you have to make sure that you leave enough room to get it on the component, and then close the jump ring. Make sure it's closed all the way. And then our next jump ring. And to open the jump rings, you just want to grip it in your 2 sets of pliers, like hold it in 1 set of pliers, grab it with another, and just swing it like this. So that you can open it, but it still keeps its round shape. And then just put the component in here as well. Make sure that we're on this side of the tanzanite strand, our dream strand. So that, you know what I did? I put the jump ring on without attaching my, my second necklace strand. How many of you saw me doing that? I was so like focused on demonstrating how to open a jump ring that I'm like, oh yeah, just never mind about the whole, you need a strand on here. Okay, and I want to make sure that it's going to not be twisty funny. Here we go. Okay. Now I am actually closing that. So, and then get our next jump ring. And I did test like a 4mm jump ring. It was just too small to use with this component. It was also too small to use with the moons. So I used 5mm on all of that. Okay. Now we've got these 3. And because of the way I attach them, they are in the order we want them to drape. So we've got tanzanite, blue lapis, and amethyst right there. Okay. And then we want to do the same thing on the other side. Here's our other component. This time I'm going to start with the outside one. Again, because I'm left-handed and it's going to be easier than trying to like attach things in the opposite. I'm doing the opposite order. I'm mirroring what I just did. So start with the amethyst, get it on our component. Shoot. I have to drop my jump rings at least once. It's just a thing. Just a thing. Dang it. Okay, I must not have that open enough. You do have to make sure that it's open enough that you can get the component through. With the shape of it, that can be a little bit tricky. Making sure you're holding the ring in the right place so that you have the clearance to get that through. This is not going to be right. Okay, necklace. Don't want to open that anymore. There we go. All right. Another jump ring. I suppose I could have paused while I finished this, but guys, now there's only 2 left. All right. Now we've got the tanzanite, or the lapis color beading wire. I'm identifying them by the beading wires that I used. Oh, it got on and then it slipped off. A little bit more. Trying really hard not to scratch up this pretty component. Getting tiny little scratches in it. Not a lot. I'm not gouging it, but I have a few little scratches that weren't there before from trying to put this on. All right. Making sure everything is lined up. Purple. Oh, now it's wanting to stay in that section. Huh. I wonder if I can make it do that. It like bumped itself over there and now it's trying to stay. I might fiddle with that. Pause the camera and fiddle with it for a minute. But first, we need to get this and this and this. So this is kind of what I had wanted to have happen, but I don't think I can make it stay there. These guys are trying to, though. See that? That's kind of how I had wanted it to work on the other side. Can I make that happen? I think if that one is down. That one, those also go down. These all go down to the same place. I'm gonna just make them all go to the same place because I can't make them stay in the other section like consistently, but I can, come on. You gotta be like this. I can't get the other guys on the other side to stay in the right position, but this one wants to stay right where I put it. Which means I need to fix it or it's going to be scawampy because I can't get the other one. I can't get it to match on the other side. So, okay, I'm going to pause this, get this all straightened out, and then we're going to move on to the next bit. Okay, so I fiddled with it a little bit. It's fine. I've got them all coming from that center, which, you know, gravity doing what it's going to do is going to be the more likely place. Sometimes they will get hung up in that other section. It's just that's the size of the jump ring I needed to use. If I'd had a 6mm, they'd move more freely, but I don't. So 5mm it is. Next, we are going to be doing our chain. We're going to be adding this heart chain. Now these are soldered links. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take my jump ring right here and I'm going to attach it to one side of the necklace. And then I'm going to hold this necklace up to my neck and figure out where I want it to be and how much chain I would need to get there. Then I'm going to take an inch off for the clasp, and then we're going to attach this diamond shaped toggle clasp that came with the collection in the Moonlit Serenade. Oh, I attached the jump ring. What did I forget, guys? The chain. Okay. All right, now I'm going to be off camera for a moment while I hold this up, figure out where it's going to fit comfortably. That's not going to interfere with my design. Wrap it around my head. Let me get my hair out of the way so it's a little bit more accurate. Not that my hair is that thick and lustrous, but you know, doing the thing. All right, where did my chain go? Just had it. I just lost it. When I moved my hair, it moved to the chain. There we go. No longer moving chain. All right, get these guys back where I need them to be. To where I want. I don't want it to be choker length, that top strand. I want it to rest right at the base of my throat, because then I feel like I can still make the rest of this fit and look nice. Yeah. So that is where I need the chain to end if I am doing it there. All right, so I need this much chain minus 1 inch from here to here. So I'm going to shorten that by 1 inch and give it a little snip. There we go. And then I am going to just double this chain over and see where I need to snip it. That's perfect. There's the center link right there. Snipping this chain so that the clasp will be at the back of my neck. All right. And then we're going to do 3 more jump rings. So this should be pretty quick here, as long as I remember to put everything on the jump ring that needs to be there. All right, so this jump ring is going to attach to our second component. And the other half of the chain. Now I've got an even amount of chain on both sides. And then I'm going to take a look at my necklace and make sure that this is the back. See how I'm seeing only one? I don't know if I'll show you. See how I'm seeing only one part of the loop because I didn't have a full two loops on those. So I'm turning it around. This is now the front of my necklace. And I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put the fiddly bit of the clasp, in this case the bar, on the right side of the necklace. I know I'm holding this from the left, but that's because I'm facing it. If I was wearing this, this would be on the right side of my neck. So this is where I'm going to put the bar. Just going to put the chain and the bar just like that. Okay. And then the same thing on the other side, but our square, our diamond shape. The toggle. Where did my other jump ring go though? Oh, I moved it off with the chain. There it is. Okay. And again, this is going to be the chain, and I'm making sure, there we go. Yeah. Front, because we've got, you know, the order of our wires going from darkest to lightest and lightest to darkest, the beading wire that we used. So it's one way to check, make sure that your strands are not twisted or, you know, losing their place. And this is our triple strand necklace from Moonlit Serenade, all done. Move some of those, here we go, the dangles so they're on the right side of things. The tools out of the way. That's really pretty. I think that's really pretty. As it may be a little long, I maybe could have shortened that a little bit. But considering it's worn about like this, I think it needed that little bit of extra length to give this clearance. Maybe I was wrong. If I dislike it, I can always shorten this because it's a lot easier to shorten it. Take off these seed beads here and pull it up to like here. Like that. But that just felt like it was crowding the middle strands. So better like this, I think. So definitely a more dramatic piece, but you know, it should be. It should be. A little bit of a fairy tale, a little bit of a story. You've got the dream that you're, a wish is a dream your heart makes, or a dream is a wish your heart makes, whatever that is. You know, that's definitely the thing. And then the nightfall and the magic that follows. So I think that's a pretty good little design. Now let's see, do I want to throw together some earrings? Can we do something fun that's simple? Like I said, I haven't used the pumpkins yet. We have some leaves that are left. I have enough leaves that I can put 2 on each side. And I could make some rice star dangles. One of each color on each side. Let me pause this. I'm gonna see about throwing together an earring, and then if I like what I did, then I will be back and I will show you how to make the second earring. Yeah, I'm thinking yes on the earrings. Y'all want to see how to make this? Well, let's make this. So I'm going to use the same chain I used on my necklace. And I know not everybody has that chain. It did not come in the box. So whatever kind of chain you use, you are either going to have your dangles closer together if they're smaller links, or you might have smaller links and space them more links apart. But for this chain, I need 8 heart links. So I've got 2, 4, 6, and 8. I'm going to cut that 9th one. Make sure I've got that right before I cut it. I like counted 3 times. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes. I counted 3 times to make sure that 8 was actually what I needed. And it is. So I've got 8 links. If you want to know how long those 8 links are, if you're wanting to do something similar. Okay, thought I lost it. Then you are going to be looking for just past an inch, probably about an inch and an eighth, or if you go millimeter or centimeters, we're looking at about 3 centimeters in length. Okay, that's about how long my chain is going to be. And I'm going to be using 5 ball pins, an ear wire, and some 20 gauge craft wire. I'm using the stuff from Softflex. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our dangles, and we're going to do them the exact same way we did for the necklace. If you didn't watch that earlier, I only demonstrated one, but you're basically going to be putting your bead on your pin, cutting it down to about 2 rolls worth. So for this bead, it's about that much that I'm cutting off. And I'll do that again for this white one, the clear one. Cutting off the same length. And then taking your round nose pliers, grabbing the end of that wire in your tool, and roll it towards you. I roll it against my finger to kind of help keep everything smooth and even. And when we get about this far away from our bead, bend it back and finish your roll. And then you've got a centered loop above your bead. And you're just going to do that for 2. So I'm using 2 leaf beads from the bundle, and I'm using 3 and 6, 2 in each color of the star rice beads. I don't remember if that's what they're called, but that's what I've been calling them this whole video. So those guys. So these ones are going to need more cut off because they're smaller beads. So I'm just getting this on here. Again, I'm estimating about 2 rolls worth. This time I'm cutting about this far down for those guys. And I'm just going to make them consistent with each other. Okay, and then roll these last 3 loops using the same method as we did before. I don't want a full 3 rolls just because they take up too much space on the jump rings where we're using to attach them to the chain. So it's important to keep that in mind. You're trimming it down so you get about two rolls. On my necklace, I was just shy of 2 rolls, but all of these are getting a little bit more than 2 full rolls. They're just going past just a little bit. But that's fine. It's approximate, and the idea is just to have it on there. And then we're going to make a link for our pumpkin. I'm just smoothing out this craft wire. Like I said, this is 20 gauge from Softflex. It is a dead soft wire. You can use whatever wire you prefer. I am using 20 gauge, so I can just do simple loops. So I'm just putting my pumpkin on there. I am starting with a flush cut because that's the way I make my links. And then I'm just taking that and rolling it towards me until the metal touches metal. And then I'm opening the wire, the jaws, swinging it behind until it taps the wire behind, closing it, and just giving my wrist a little twist. What that does is it centers that loop above the wire, like this, like so. Just move the pumpkin up, snip about a finger's length down, flush side towards the spool. That's how I start with a flush cut, because this bit of wire is going to get one more little trim before I'm done. Now I am going to have these be parallel loops, but this pumpkin likes to twist a lot, so I am just going to bend the wire. I think I'm pretty good. And then I'm going to cut this down to about 1 centimeter so that I have room to make a simple loop. That's that little trim that it gets. So now it's flush as well. And rolling it until it meets itself there in the middle. Now we've got our little loop, our link, and I'm just taking this one in each of my pliers and giving it, I'm checking it, the orientation, and you can see my pliers aren't making a straight line. All I'm doing is shifting one until they do make a straight line, and then giving both a really good solid squish to help work hard in those loops that I just made. And then I fling it off my desk. It's okay, I caught it with my tummy. Okay, all right. This one I feel like needs to roll just a little bit more. Yep, so that it'll close. All right, now what you're doing is you're gonna go ahead and open one end of your link. And you're going to put on the end of your chain and your crystal colored rice star bead. That's going to be our first dangle. We want it right up there along with the beginning of our chain. And then we are going to be adding, using jump rings, and these are 4mm jump rings here. We're going to be adding, using jump rings, the dangles in a specific order. If you want to change your order, you are more than welcome to, but I'm going to make this a matched set, so I'm adding them in the same order. So I'm taking my jump ring and I'm opening it, and I'm grabbing my second heart. That's going to be this one here. And my light blue, make sure where did my earring go? One I just made. There it is. Yes, just making sure I'm double checking my order. The mid blue rice bead. I want my leaves to be closer to the bottom. They'll help, I don't know, weight it a little bit differently. And then I'm going to open my next jump ring. And then this time I'm going down 2 links, but this is the kind of tricky bit. So you need to be paying attention to your links. So this one I did on this side of that link. Okay. So if our links are lining up, that one's on the bottom. Come on. Okay, that one's on the bottom of that link. This one I want to be on the top of, oh no, I dropped it. No, I didn't. It just shifted and I thought I had. Sorry, I have to find it again. I have to find it again because I have to put my jump ring back in my pliers. Okay, so this time on that second one, you want to do it in the opposite end of that link. So alternating sides, I guess. I don't know if you can see, but like this one is attached to this part of this one. So then we skip a link, and this time instead of attaching it on this side, we're attaching it on the opposite side. Okay, so jump ring and our first flower, which is our crystal one, not flower, our first leaf. Close that up. Open the next. This is the fiddly bit, friends. This is the fiddly bit. And you know what? If you accidentally put it on the wrong side, it's okay. This just helps to make sure that we've got dangles that are falling on both sides of the chain so that it just cascades nicely. So this one, you can see this jump ring is coming on. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see this. So move this up. Okay. Because this, I want to demonstrate, and I don't know that holding it the way I was doing it before did it. So see how I'm on this side of this link? We're skipping this link, and then I want to be on this link next, but I'm going to do it on the top end of that link instead of the bottom end of that link. Does that make sense? So I'm going to the opposite side of it. So I'm picking this up, making sure I get that other side of the link, like I was just talking about. And this time we are doing, felt like that slipped. No, yep, it's fine. This time we're doing the dark star rice bead. Okay. And then the last one is easy. You don't have to worry about which side it is because it is the end of the chain. So you just open this last jump ring. Come on. There we go. And this time we're taking this chain, going to the very last link, and putting it here. So if you're using a chain that has smaller links, you might, instead of 8 links, do like 12 links and just space them differently. And this time we're adding our blue leaf. Then we're just going right back to our pumpkin. See, we've got our pretty guys dangling. And they'll kind of go back and forth the different sides, and that's fine. If you wanted to make sure that they mirror, you would flip it like this. You can see I cascaded them the same way. If I want them to mirror each other, this is the front of this earring. I could make it the back of this other one. So I would open this, and this way they'll mirror a little bit more. Just take my ear wire, and I'm holding it so that the back is towards me instead of the front. And that way they will mirror each other when worn. So let me get my dish back over here and show you how that will work. And like I said, they're going to kind of go everywhere, so it's not going to be precise, but you can see that these do a little bit better job of mirroring each other. I'm doing it real close, and then I'll zoom back out here in just a moment. So the blue are on the inside on this, or if I wore them in opposite ears, the blue could be on the outside. They'll kind of go wherever they want, but they're mostly going to naturally fall on the side we place them because of the chain. See? So you can either have them match or you can mirror. I chose to mirror. So let's go back out to normal distance. That's not the right button, Jen. There we go. And we have our swingity earrings They're not too heavy. They're long and dramatic. They're not too heavy because we used a lot of chain for that space, but the pumpkins are chunky. So I wanted to be judicious on how many extra beads we added. So I'm going to clear away my jump rings, arrange this a little bit more nicely on my mat, and we're going to take one last look. Thank you for hanging out for this whole video, and I will be right back. And I'm back. I zoomed out a little bit to give you a little bit better look of what this whole thing looks like together. Of course, when worn, it's going to drape a little bit differently than you see on the mat, but I really like how this came out. I love the delicate bits and the bold bits and the magic-y bits. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was a little bit long and there were some things that we need to figure out along the way, but I feel like inviting you along for my design process is a great way for you to learn and see. You might see some ideas that I discarded and know a better way to do it and change the design to suit you. And so I don't want to leave out what I consider doing, even if I end up going a different direction. So I like inviting you along for my design process. And this one, like I said, has been taking up a lot of brain space. I knew I wanted to do something. I love the earrings I ended up coming up with. I can't believe I almost didn't do earrings. I really appreciate you being here. So I am going to have links to all of the important places, Becky's unboxing of this collection, the live where we made several things from this box, the where you can sign up for Sam's Bead Box, because I finally succumbed. I had to do it. I love this. If you sign up now, your first box will be the April box. So just so you know, if you sign up now, the first box will be the April box for you. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm really happy that I got to play with this. I used a ton of stuff from this box. I still have some beads left, but as you can see, I loved this box well. There are some of these that have been completely depleted or almost entirely depleted, and other things I have yet to play with, like the button and the bird and the chips. I didn't use any of those yet, so I'm looking forward to playing with those in the future. But I think it's been a lot of fun. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you liked this video, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And as always, my friends, happy beading, and don't forget to play. Bye!